Okay.
But for the Chef workstation, I was able to configure the first part installation and reconfigure. Uh, but when I put the knife user list, it's not showing anything. At some point we do knife user list. First of all, I want to ask you what exactly those user lists are. Are those users are because we only create one user, right, to access the server. So when we type in knife user list, what that means and which user and it's like throwing me an error. It's not responding, and I was yeah.
Have you copied the keys from server to workstation and server? Uh, yeah, first thing is setting up the server and the workstation. So have you copied the
Yeah,
keys?
yes, I have to copy the keys to workstation, yes.
Okay, what is the error it is showing?
So when I said knife user list is unable to talk to the server.
Did you do knife SSL fetch?
Yes, I just followed like whatever you have done. I can try again probably, Santosh, but I just want to know like what exactly that means, knife user list. Is it listing the number of users already registered or what?
It is the number of users who are, registered to the Chef server. So we have registered only one user, so it should
Yeah,
show one user. So basically,
it should
Chef
show. Yeah.
workstation is talking to server and getting the information. So if the
Okay.
if everything is fine, like network configuration and the communication between the workstation and the server is fine, we'll be able to get the user list or node list.
When you said network configuration, you mean one of the things is you can access, you can ping the server, right? And
Actually, what I mean is something like first thing is pinging each other, all the three servers. And second thing,
yes,
host name should be same as the one which you are using, right? In the sensor, host name is, let us say, client, and the certificate will be generated with the same client name. So when we try to access it with other name, it will fail. So
okay,
the thing which you add in etc host, the way you ping and the host name of the actual server should be same. Then only it
okay,
works.
okay.
And
That part was
the
also
another thing,
done, like the etc host file was there actually, the same
second
file.
thing is knife SSL fetch, right? This will fetch the keys. So the where are you currently when you are executing knife user list? Sometimes what happens is it will try to read from the current directory, the keys and all. So try to do that from root chef repo, knife node list
Okay.
or knife user list. Sometimes that might be a problem. So if you are
Mm-hmm.
doing from some other directory, it may not get the certificate to talk to the server. So it may fail.
Yeah.
So try to do that from the root chef repo directory on the workstation.
Okay. And so those sometimes since we don't have the documents like step by step, so sometimes it's
I have
difficult
sent it.
going back
You
and
would have. I have sent the documents. Maybe I don't know.
okay.
You will get it probably uh, today.
Okay. I think
Just
probably
before evening
today.
you would have one. Yeah.
Because if we have the document, it would be like easier to follow this document and doing the exercises instead of
Yeah.
like going back and forth with the videos and to see like which commands run there. And
Yeah. That's right.
so yeah, okay. I'll try again today.
Okay. So basically, the chef architecture, the workstation, the server, the clients, multiple clients, right? And how do we set up the chef, and how do we create a playbook? What is bootstrapping, and what is run list? Those things is everybody clear,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So architecture-wise, so you got it, like how chef works, uh, right? So we have three components in Chef, the main component, server, workstation, and the client. When I say client, there can be multiple clients, hundreds of clients. And how do we configure the setup? What are the packages we install? How do we do the configuration? How do we copy the keys? And how authentication is established, authorization is established between the different components, and how
Yeah,
to
one
create a
more thing.
playbook.
Yeah, sorry, one more thing, Santosh. Those clients are basically the basically end clients where we're gonna make the changes, right?
Right, right. Yes.
Okay, and one more thing for the keys. I remember, and I was looking at the video because you do SSH Gen key, right? And there's that was one of the keys, and you also did like we have the keys for the username and the organization. Uh, so I copied the user and the organization key only. I haven't copied the SSH Gen key.
Yeah, not required actually. Yes, Jenkins is also not required. Actually, Chef will
Okay,
internally take care of that. So PEM files will be copied from the server to client. So those two PEM files are enough.
okay, okay, sure. Okay. I think if we have a document step by step, like which step goes first, second,
Yeah,
and
I have sent the document. So probably you have everything in that. How to configure server, each step described, and syntax
okay,
also exactly same. So you can copy paste
okay,
the command. It should work. If you have the proper laptop with high memory and high CPU.
okay, okay, sure, okay, thanks.
Yeah. So yesterday we discussed about knife roles. This is like combining the servers, right, based on the role, grouping the servers based on the role they perform, right? So there can be something like a common role. This is for performing the basic tasks, right? Some SSH configuration or some Linux hardening, some security setup on all the machines, right? And there can be something like a web server's role. This is for configuring web server, for installing and configuring web server, something like Apache. And there can be a role like DB servers. This is for installing and configuring database. But there can be application server as well. That is basically for configuring your application. Right? So these are the different groups, and we can add the servers to these groups so that we do not have to create the run list for each and every server whenever we add a cookbook, right? So what do? We create the role and we create a run list between the uh, role and the cookbook so that this cookbook will be executed on that particular machines or servers which are defined in the role, right? So how do we define the role? So everything we interact, that is with the workstation. So knife, role, create from file, and there can be a file, something like role.rb. So here we can define what is the cookbook that we want to associate with this particular role and what are the servers and all. Okay. So let us try to do that. Let me bring up the chef server. This is my server, this is my client, and this is my workstation. So let me go to chef repo, my user list. Let me also bring up my server. So it is returning. So let us say knife node list. It should return the client one which we have added. So ideally, when we are working in the actual environment, we will have multiple nodes attached to the server, and it is also easy actually. If I'm working on the laptop, that's why I'm not able to create many servers because of this server resources address. But actually, when we work on the servers, adding the client is very simple. Configuring chef server, configuring the workstation is a little complex, but with one command, we can easily add the clients to the server. So where do we execute the command to add the servers, to add the clients to server? What is the
Workstation.
command? What is the command to add client? I want to add a new client now. How do we add?
Run list.
Yes, run list is for associating cookbook with the client, already added client. For the first time I want to add the client. For the first time I want to add a client to the server. So there is nothing, let us say only we have workstation and the server setup. Now I need to add my client to server. What is the command? What is the method called?
Unit association.
No. How do we add? I think we discussed this yesterday. We let us say I want to add a new knife, bootstrap, client name, client 2, username, key path. This is what we give, right? This method is called bootstrap method. Adding client to server, right? Did you get it? Are you following? If I want to add a new client, we just do knife bootstrap, right? Okay. So
I think we briefly touched that yesterday. Yeah, I don't recall it. There's so many configurations. It's just
I mean, yeah, there are too many, but if you go back to the steps, what we have done is install the packages, do the reconfiguration, copy the keys, then after all three are set up, then do bootstrap, then create the cookbook, then upload it to the server, and then once cookbook is created, then we can add the client using like bootstrap, and we can associate using run list by creating the run list. Then we can go to the client and execute chef client. So chef client will pick up the changes and it will try to execute the cookbook, right?
okay. Yeah.
From there will execute after cookbook starts. Yeah.
Yeah, so those for the error message, I just paste the error message that I'm getting when I'm using knife user list. Can you check the chat window? Yes.
Yeah, I think this is the same problem. Did you try from the chef repo?
Yes, I was in the chef repo.
Try knife SSL fetch first, and if
Okay.
successful, it should work.
Okay. Got you. Right.
Okay. So let us try to. Okay, my chef server is fine. Now let me go to.
So basically, right now we are adding a brand new client to the server, right? Like from
Yes,
scratch.
this command for adding the server to the client to server on the
Okay.
workstation. We need to execute this on the workstation.
Workstation, yeah. And that is the client that we have it yesterday, right? We have 3 VMs. I mean, three background VMs. Right? One of is client. We haven't done anything on the client, right? Yesterday or before.
We have done right. We have executed this thing right on the chef client. The executed chef client that has fetched the cookbook sample Apache file and all, right. And then so we just execute chef client on the client machine. That will execute. That will get the cookbooks from the server, and it will try to execute. We need to upload it. We can change the version. We can define the parameters. We can define the attributes. Right. So what is the syntax we follow to write the cookbooks? What is the language we follow to write the cookbooks?
JSON format.
Yeah, yes, sir. Right. Okay. Fine. So a new file. Okay, I think last class I think I have given the index.html in the wrong path, so I corrected it and I did not execute. I executed, but it was failing because of the error 500 from the server. Now I just executed and it would have created index.html with hello world, right? So I should be able to access it with IP address by opening this in the browser. Or how do I verify that without opening the browser? In the sense, if I open this browser and type this, it will give me hello world, because Apache web server is running on the port 80, right? Hello world, it's returning hello world, right? So now I don't want to open this browser. Within the machine itself, I want to confirm, I want to check, I want to validate whether my browser is working fine. Did I tell what is the command to use to verify this?
Curl.
Yeah, so curl -I and the IP address, HTTP. This will give me 200 OK, indicating that there is a response from the Apache server running, right? Or if I just do curl, it will give hello world, right? So this is without opening the browser, just to check if any application is running on the machine. If you want to verify or if you want to something like automate, we can use this curl command based on the written code, right? We can parse through this output and get it, and we can validate it, right? Okay, so fine. Let us go to the client workstation and try to create the role, right?
So
So,
Santosh, what was that IP address .93? It was the server IP address? Or?
so it was the client. So now let us say one application is running on the client, right?
Oh, so
So
you're
that
just
application
testing
will
if
be
the
accessed.
index file is working. Okay, okay, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
That application will have a file, and users will hit it from outside. And if there is any problem and we want to debug, so one way is to open the browser and see whether it's really working. A second way is to just to check from the local machine itself whether we are getting the response from the application, right? I think this we have tried when we configured the load balancer in AWS, right?
Oh, okay, yes, okay, yes.
Okay, so what is the command? Knife row, enter. So this will show the help page, knife roll, create, delete, edit, etc. So the command which we have to use is knife roll create. Just enter, it will also show the help page, right? So we can create a role from a file. So there is a syntax for file. And create a directory etc chef, sorry, here on the root chef repo, there is cookbooks directory, right? So like this, we'll create a directory for roles, cd roles. I'm inside the roles. So knife role create. Okay, before that, we need to create a file. So let us say web server.rp, and I'll just insert this name of the web server, description some XYZ, run list is recipe. So by default, this recipe, which is Apache, this cookbook will be attached to the group web servers, right? So I'll just save it and knife role create some web servers.rb, right? Knife role create knife role some file. Okay, I need to do it from knife series chef repo. If you are getting the same error, private key cannot be loaded. So by default, it is looking into this path, etc chef client.m. So our keys are in root chef repo. So if we copy the files to this path, etc chef, I think we can execute this command from anywhere. Okay, so this will create a role. Maybe it is waiting for the server to respond. If server responds, that role will be created. Okay. Once role is created, we can also do everything from the graphical user interface. We can click on the node and click on it, and then there is something called edit run list. So that run list, there will be 3 boxes, right? If you have seen, let's create permission. Right, role from file web servers.rb.
Yeah, I was getting the same error message. This one.
Yeah, this is because server consumes a lot of resources, and if it is not able to get the resources from this thing, it will get. But if you try to work on VMware machines or ESX machines or power machines, which are inside your organization in the lab, it works actually. So maybe you can try that.
Oh, but I don't understand why it say etc client etc chef client.pem. There's no file like that. I don't know what that means. It cannot load from etc chef client.pem. I mean,
So
there's no.
When we create the file for the first time, that will be user.pem and the organization validator.pem. So once the first time authentication is established, it will copy that to client.pem. It will generate a file and it will copy that file to client.pem in etc chef directory. So when we do knife SSL, that's what's happened.
Okay, because when I go to that directory, I don't see any file there.
Yeah, so ideally when you do knife SSL fetch, it should create a file.
Okay, so it might not be creating the file then. So
Yeah,
it's trying to load it, but when I go to like etc chef, there is no file under this. Yes.
okay. Let me see if there is something like permissions. With the default chef, before I use, it was having permission. I don't know if something is changed with the latest chef. That for that we need to we need to give a permission for the user to create roles. This is the first time I'm seeing this error. Permission, they need to create a role.
Although Santosh, this chef is just like Salt, right? You know, Salt server and client. It's pretty much same, doing the same thing, right?
Yeah, so all are same. Only thing is the architecture wise are different.
Okay.
Salt is more like a puppet, I would say, puppet master and puppet slave, nothing else. And there
Okay.
are also salt server and the minions.
Yes.
Santosh, we use Chef Solo. We don't need this workstation and
Yeah.
server, right?
So yeah. So let us say there is something called chef apply, and there is something called chef solo also. Chef apply is something like we have three node architecture. I mean same architecture like how we use. And if we want to test playbook cookbook only on one server, we can do it using that chef apply. So chef apply is to execute the cookbook directly on the client, right? So we don't need to upload to server, and we don't need to to do all this stuff, right? And there's something called chef solo. This is also something I don't want to have this kind of architecture, complex architecture. I just install chef solo on a single server and execute. So this is also for executing on a single node. Right? So there is also something called hosted chef. This is like chef server will be on the cloud, right? So that cloud will be managing the machines. So that server from the cloud manages the clients. So we just need to download the keys from the server and copy it to workstation and the clients. So this workstation can be laptop also. This way also it works. So what happens is sometimes if your organization is something like a bank application or any confidential data is there, so generally we do not want the data to be on the cloud, right? So here the concept is same. So there the architecture wise server is there, client is there, workstation is there. We copy the keys from the server to workstation to client and we execute the cookbooks. But in case here in with the cloud, they are maintaining the chef servers. We are using it, but our cookbooks will be stored on the chef server. So that is other way. So this chef can be implemented in different ways. So ideally, this is the proper way of implementing it. Something like we do not want to store our cookbooks in a public area in cloud. We want to have everything internally, right? Is this clear? Is this clear? Chef also can be implemented from hosted chef. Chef is actually on the cloud and it manages the server. This chef is maintained by the chef team. I mean the chef's team itself who developed chef. And but we need to store all our cookbooks and all on the cloud. If that is not needed, if that is not, if the data is confidential, then we need to have chef and entire infrastructure, chef ecosystem created locally. That is what we are trying to do.
Okay. So okay. So that service is available from the chef vendor itself, eh?
Yeah, chef vendor itself, yes.
And they're hosting on the cloud or
Yeah,
Amazon
it's
cloud or
cloud.
Amazon
Uh,
cloud?
they have their own cloud.
Oh, they have their own cloud. Okay. And which one is popular? Like Santosh, are the people like companies have their own infrastructure or they
Yeah,
have in the cloud?
people have their own infrastructure.
Yeah, because the thing is, those open source are so difficult to manage and support. They keep
Right,
changing,
right.
and so I mean, some of the companies may prefer to go on the cloud. I don't know how much it's going to cost it, but
Yeah, it
this
depends organization to organization. It depends on the data which you maintain, right?
yes,
Our organization, in my current organization,
yeah,
we have a AWS enterprise account. So
yeah.
that so we host everything on that AWS, and you know how much they charge per month? $15,000 per month for the
18,000.
enterprise. $15,000 per month.
Oh,
Enterprise AWS account.
there's no limit on how many servers you deploy, or what is it?
This is the basic. The starts based on the usage. It may increase. So
Oh,
all M4.large instances we use. We use all around 53 VPC, lot of these things, and I think it will be charged more. But this is the basic starts from this. So this enterprise
yeah.
AWS account has all the features. Something like we can open a case against AWS. The team will assist. The team will debug in case of any issue. So there are basic plans like this is the enterprise plan. So generally organizations will go for this kind of plan. So $15,000 per month is what the huge amount which organizations have to pay for having this enterprise account.
But like,
But if you compare this,
is there a limit on servers? Like how many servers you can deploy, or there is
servers
no?
there is no limit, but it's like based on the usage will be charged more. This is the plan which
Okay. Oh,
starts with
so this is a support plan kind of, eh?
yeah. On top of that, our if the usage increases, will be charged accordingly.
Oh. How many servers total you have in your organization?
There are around, we have two accounts, so I think there are around 50 servers, 50 EC2 instances, 5 ELBs, DNS, VPC, all those stuff we
Oh,
have.
oh,
Aurora database.
did we cover VPC also? We still have to cover
Not yet.
VPC.
I said I'll be covering in the coming classes.
Okay, sure.
Okay, I don't know this getting stuck. We need to change the permissions to create the role. So I'll in this once again to see if we can give permission from the command line as well. Once a role is created, this is how we give the run list. We can just add the role and the cookbook name that will create a run list for that particular cookbook.
I don't know if it's taking too much time. Do you think we should go just for the pre-deploy VM on the backend to see actually how this is working? I don't know.
Uh,
Or maybe on the Amazon we have some chef server available to see the functionality. I don't know.
minute, we can also create a role from this way. We need to export editor as VI so that when we execute this command, knife role create web servers, it actually opens a VI file. So for the First step is we try to create directly from web servers.rb that I created, or it will only create a file when we execute this command knife role create web servers. It will open a default VI editor. In that, if we want, we can edit something like adding the recipes which you want to associate with this particular role, or we can simply save it. That will create a role called web servers. So let us try this. So for trying this, we need to set the editor as VI so that it will open VI. If we set as VIM, it will open VIM editor. Okay, my battery is on. Let me get it. Okay, let us see if this will create a role. So this is the role, and the next concept is environments. You can also create chef environments. I think we discussed yesterday. Sorry. Why environments are used? I think we discussed yesterday about environments. What is the use of having environments in Chef? Something like staging, development, QA.
Did we discuss yesterday about those environments?
Yes, I just briefed about just to give an introduction of environments, right? So environment is something like staging, development, let us say, or testing, or production. Let us say these are the three environments. So there are servers in these environments, right? Let us say server 1 to 100.
Like UAT or pre-prod or something like that, right?
Yeah, staging or anything. Okay. Then server 101 to 200 we have in testing, and production we have, let us say, server 300 to 400. Now let us say Apache or application or anything we can say. Just for example, Apache 1.0 is running on all of the machines. Right? And there is a new version which is introduced in the market, which is 2.0. Then which is the environment first we update?
Testing?
So obviously we update it because we directly do not want to execute before confirming whether it is stable or not, right? So first we need to check whether it is stable. Then if it is stable, if testing is completed, if testing is passed, then we can go to development environment, and that passes, then we have to go to production environment. But here we cannot maintain different cookbooks for each thing, right? So let us say chef is managing the entire infrastructure. So there is a single chef server that is managing all the three different environments, right? And we have different versions of the cookbook specified in metadata.rb, right? Now, is there any way I can restrict the cookbook from running on different environments? Something like I need to have 1.0 version running on production because it is a stable one, and I need to have 2.0 version running on the testing environment, and maybe 1.0 on the development environment. So environment are environments are for restricting a playbook version running on a specific roles, right, or specific environments. Something like chef, using environments, we can restrict the version of playbook running on the surface, right? So something like I can define testing equal to 2.0. So 2.0 cookbook will be running on this. Production production cookbook, I always want to run less than or equal to 1.0 because 1.0 is the stable one and I want to execute only 1.0 or less than that. In the same way, development as well. Okay, so this way we can restrict the different servers from executing the different playbooks. Still, we have only one server and one cookbook to take care of this entire infrastructure. So Apache, I only have one cookbook, but I have different versions. So using that versions, I can restrict different servers from getting executed. Okay. Service temporarily unavailable. Okay, so I'm not able to show these roles. Actually, if we create the roles, it will show up here on the node section. And if you see, I think we have seen in graphical user interface also, if we click on a server and edit run list, there will be 3 boxes. Right? So what are they? One is for a single node. For a node, we have 3 boxes. One is the role. On the downside, we have something called cookbook. Right? And here, there is another box. Okay? From here, we can drag and drop either role or cookbook. So that particular node will be associated with a role or cookbook. So this is like creating the run list. When we click on a node and edit run list, using graphical user interface also, we can associate a playbook. It is equal to running knife run list command, right?
Sorry, Santosh, I don't get that run list thing that you
Yeah, I'm
just
trying to show you
explained.
that. I'm trying to show that.
So basically, you're running the command against all the servers.
No, see, we execute the knife run list command to associate a particular node with the cookbook, right? So what is the command? Knife run list, node name, cookbook name, client name and the cookbook name. Same thing if I want to do from graphical user interface, I can go to particular node, right click on it, edit run list, right? In the edit
Yes.
run list, we have something to drag and drop for that node. So there are cookbooks. Let us say there are 2 cookbooks, Apache, MySQL, Common, or any XYZ, ABC. These are the cookbooks. So what I can do is I can simply click on this and drag and drop here on the node entry. And there is an entry for node. So there is a box for node. So that is like if we drag and drop the cookbook to a particular node, it is like creating the association between the node and the cookbook. So we don't even have to go to CLI. We can do it from the graphical user interface.
Oh, it's basically writing the run list to include that node with the associate the notebook with the cookbook, right?
Right.
Okay.
So we don't have to do that. We can do that from with a click, with a drag and drop. So we just have to drag the.
Yeah, same if we have the roles defined and let's say we have a role defined for testing servers, we can still apply the cookbook to the role and all the testing servers?
Yes. So if we have a role like testing, there are 100 servers in it, and if we associate one particular cookbook to that role, all the servers in that role will get this association.
Okay. And what are the time of execution? Let's say the moment you add the cookbook, it's going to execute right away, or is it something you list somewhere that execute later, or
See, so chef client is full-based mechanism. So it is like on every machine we need to execute. We can execute manually chef client on all the machines. That time it will get the cookbook, or we can have a cron tab job that gets executed based on time. Every 1 hour, every 5 hours, every day at morning 10 o'clock, evening 5 o'clock. That way we define the cron tab. So based on that, it will execute.
So basically, this is just association, but doing nothing, unless you have a cron job running or something execution running on the. Is there a way to send like cron job to 100 servers, or just we have to go manually one by one?
So
I mean,
I
want to.
Something called knife. So any command we can execute from Workstation without even logging into the node, right? So let us say I just want to start a process on 1000 nodes, right? So how do I start a process? So for this I need to write a cookbook. For performing this small task, do I need to write a cookbook? So there is a way. Knife SSH is the command to execute a task on all nodes, on multiple nodes, right? So knife SSH, and we give the command name and the list of nodes which we want to execute. That will go and execute on all the particular nodes. Maybe cron tab entry also we can put it here, and that will get executed on all the nodes.
Okay.
It is like a Santosh, it is like a Ansible ad hoc command, right?
Exactly. So it is like Ansible. We have modules, right? All, then -m ping. So this will ping or Ansible all -m some command, and we have given the command. So any tool, either Chef or Ansible, we can execute either from the command line, or we can execute using a playbook or cookbook. So in the similar way, knife also has knife SSH command that will go and execute on all 1000 nodes. I just want to start a process. I don't want to write a cookbook. Using knife SSH, I can do that, right? So knife SSH. So this is the way, knife SSH and name of the client and the command name. So knife SSH.
Yes, but Santosh, on the client side, we have just installed the client only. We haven't copied any keys from the workstation to the client for the authentication.
For the first time, it will ask the password. So if you want to execute the command, we need to give the password, or if you do not want to give, obviously we need to have passwordless authentication established between the servers. That's a one-time job. We have to do that.
Oh, okay. So the same thing like Ansible, we copied the keys like SSH gen keys from the workstation to all the clients to have enable like passwordless authentication, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So
because the keys we just copied from the server to the workstation only, right? Those keys, those PEM files.
No, we also copied to client, but that is for the chef to communicate. But this is like we are executing SSH manually, so that this command will be executed on the particular nodes. So
yeah, I mean those PEM files, they don't need to be copied on the client. That has nothing to do with the client, right?
We also need to copy to client, because client has to talk to server, right? So when we say go and get this playbook, cookbook and execute on the client, so client will fetch that from the server and gets executed, right?
Okay, but we haven't done that yet, because the only thing we have done is to copy it from server to workstation in the.
So we have done that. Yesterday I have done. If you see the document, or if you see the notepad, I have copied the keys both from server to workstation, from server to client.
Okay, that might be the missing part from me then. Okay, thanks.
No, you are stuck at the development kit at workstation itself, right? You haven't reached the client yet. First you did a setup on server, then you're trying to do on the development kit, which is Workstation. If the
Yes.
user list is displayed, then the next
Yeah.
step is to go to the client.
Okay. Okay.
So
is that knife command will work on the server also? Yeah.
on the client, it is chef client command that we execute.
Okay.
Knife is only on the workstation.
Not on the server, only on the workstation, right?
Only on the workstation.
Okay.
Okay.
I think I'm going to configure the workstation from scratch again to see what is missing.
Okay. So this is the way to execute some command on all the clients at once. This is the way, because we defined a role and that role has web server and all the web servers are inside that, and I want to start a process. I want to restart HTTPD. How do I do? Service HTTPD restart. So this command will go and execute that command. This command will be executed on all the machines, servers which are in the web servers group. Right? Is this clear? And knife can also be used as, chef can also be used. So here chef is used to execute a command on multiple machines, right? In the same way, chef can also be used as an inventory. What do you mean by inventory? I have a lot of RHL machines. I have a lot of Ubuntu machines. I have a lot of chef, SLES machines. Now, I need to find out which machines have SLES 11 installed. Right? So how do I check directly? So I need to maintain an Excel sheet. In that Excel sheet, I need to add all the servers and I need to give the operating system, then filter based on the operating system, or filter based on the hardware architecture, or filter based on the RAM capacity, right? So can I do that using chef? Can I use chef as an inventory? Yes, we can do that. So again, using knife command, knife search option. So basically, chef by default maintains the inventory. Using search, we can extract the whatever is the required field, right? Because internally it uses something called OHI component, something like our Ansible facts that gets information and stores on the server. So from development kit, if we execute knife search command, that will go and get information about the client. So something like this, knife search. Based on the operating system, based on the platform, based on the kernel, we can filter out. I don't know if this will get successful because server may not respond. So this will give OS information based on the fully qualified domain name, right? So based on the platform, we can give something like this. So all Red Hat machines. If search is to search the inventory for a particular field. Where do we get the field? This is from the OHI profiler component. That will get the information from all the machines. Is this clear? How to execute a command on multiple machines from the without writing the cookbook, and how to use chef as an inventory. It will by default maintain the inventory, something like a database. We just need to search based on the criteria and it will return the clients. I want to find out which machines has Red Hat, right? I want to find out which machines has x86 underscore 64 hardware architecture. So it will give something like this. So previously, when I was working in India, I used to have access to lab. So there, all VMware machines I used to configure chef, and it was very easy to execute the commands and all because the servers were really good with configuration, high configuration, and any command adding multiple 5 or 6 clients also used to work. So all these outputs are from those classes. Right, so just execute something from the server and everything works. So this is like, so these are the different servers. X2P06, X2P03. Okay, these are actually from IBM. I just changed it to something like company.com. Okay. Okay, I don't think it will respond. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll see some more. Maybe we'll try to execute only the cookbooks. Anyway, this is not responding. So, but this is what is roles and this is what is environments, and this is how we execute a command on multiple machines, and we can also do a search based on the criteria, right? We'll try to execute cookbooks directly on the client tomorrow, and we'll also see supermarket, how to download a cookbook from supermarket and use it directly on the node, right? So we have class tomorrow, same time.
Okay.
Tomorrow I'm going to be busy. I don't know if you guys, everybody's available. I'm going to be away tomorrow.
Okay. Anybody else? Are you all are available? Okay.
All right.
We'll stop here.
Thanks.
We'll continue tomorrow. Thank you.